Assalamu alaikum, Jianu, Pakhair Ragale, Ni Hao, Chune Shume, Weshmale, Ohio, Gonzaimes, Guten Morgen. Hi, hugs and hellos, and very good Khush Amadi to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning and are ready to kickstart their day and are very happy to be tuned into PT World. My name is Shazad Khan, and with me I have the very pretty Maha Makhdoom. Hello, Maha. How are you? You look great today.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hello, everyone. And I was wondering when you were going to introduce me. I was like, I want to say hello. I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to start the whole show without me.
See? So you once again said hello.
No, I did it because after the last few times, what I've noticed is that Shazad has been correcting my Urdu pronunciations on television, which is great because it's all about learning and getting it right. But
exactly.
you know, there's a time and a place for everything, so I thought I'd do it today.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you guys are well.
my wife says one. I don't think that it's a good idea to share this,
no,
but she says every dog has a day. That's what she says. But it's perfectly all right, ladies and gentlemen. We hope that you guys are doing fine. You know, everybody's ready to kickstart their day. Time to rise and shine, wake and bake. You can see these helmets on the table. It's just because of the fact that we've got a public service message, which is very interesting today, and that too will be given away by Maha.
Okay, great.
And right now, top stories for this hour. Let's see what Maha. I think we are going to start with you.
Yes, we are.
Right.
Okay, so Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has said that it is Pakistan's ardent desire to promote peace and cooperation in South Asia, for which security and stability are prerequisites. So that's really good that people are paying attention to this.
Exactly. I mean, that's what it is. But ladies and gentlemen, since you all know that we are a cricketing nation, so everybody who's outside Pakistan and may not probably be a Pakistani, well, I think there's something for us to be very happy, and that is Pakistan defeated West Indies by 7 wickets in the first cricket test at Jamaica, taking 1-0 lead in the 3-match series. Congratulations, Team Pakistan. You guys are making us proud, and you guys are continuing to make us proud as well.
Absolutely.
So now I think we need to move on towards the public service message. Maha, why are these helmets over here?
Okay, you know, first of all, I don't know why I keep giving the road service messages, because I'm trying to become a better driver myself, because I do suffer from road rage. But basically, as we know, the motorcyclists all over Pakistan, they're very brave, and they like to ride without their motorcycle helmet. So one thing is wear it, and even if you're a passenger, do wear it, because it's very dangerous.
Exactly.
That's it. That's the purpose.
But I didn't really get the hint where you said that motorcyclists over here are very brave. I mean,
because if you've driven to Lahore, if you've driven in Islamabad,
you should say they're stupid that they do not wear helmets.
It was a choice of words. Oh gosh.
I exactly know that. But ladies and gentlemen, and there's a reason why we do have helmets over here. There are people who are adventure seekers. There are people who want to probably jump off the plane from 10,000 or 15,000 meters or feet. And then there are people who want to, glide in the sky. There are people who want to go surfing. There are people, who want every type of adventure. And then there are people who want to see something with their own eyes, and they want to drive to that particular place or probably ride.
Exactly.
Vroom, vroom.
Like as we know, the whole show is about getting the real image of Pakistan across to you. And there's another reason why we're sitting here as well, because it is. Some people like to go and take the adventure themselves, and some people don't have the opportunities or the resources, etc. So this is a way for them to see the world.
Exactly, and then at the same time over here, it's very against our norms because of the fact that, for example, if over here you are an associate manager in an organization and you want to go for a vacation, what you'll probably do is that you'll probably write a letter to your boss saying that, I need to leave or something of that sort. And you'll go for 15 days probably to US, to Europe, or wherever you want to go, and then you'll be back at work. But, there's a gentleman over here who's a chemical engineer himself. And he thought, well, one day I don't want to live my life, the structured way, so I'll probably let it be unstructured for a way. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. But it is very exciting. And I think for all those people who have been struggling hard since years, that they want to go somewhere, they want to enjoy their life, this guy will actually tell you or probably inspire you by his actions because of the fact that, he did it whenever he wanted.
Okay, exactly. So to discuss all of these things and to discuss everything about Pakistan, we have been joined by some guests. But first of all, we're going to show you a video, and let's go take a look. And when you come back, we'll see who our guests are.
Vroom, vroom. Yeah.
So that was a video for you, just to give you a little teaser, and this is a little video of our guests of their journey, only in Pakistan so far, but we have got other visuals. So we've been joined by Dachi. Hi, Dachi. How are you?
How are you? Doing great. How are you?
Good, thank you. I mean, this is the shortest introduction I've ever done in the
Yeah,
last 2.5 years.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, it feels good. But thank you so much for joining us today. Besides Dachi, we've been joined by Rowan, Carol. Hello, how are you?
G'day,
Thank
assalamu
you so-
alaikum.
Yeah.
Good morning.
And,
walaikum.
and as Shazad said in the introduction, that Rowan is actually the one who quit being a chemical engineer. For Pakistan, that's a big thing, okay? You know, 'cause that's,
Yeah,
when you're born, you're told what you're going to
Yeah,
be.
you really don't do it like this. All right, gentlemen, so let's get the conversation started. Why, in the first place, you guys wanted to set off for a journey which is going to take you, at least it took you 3 years by now. You know, you haven't been back home, and it's 1.5 years for you.
How did it start, Dachi?
You want to go first?
Okay, Rowan.
For me, it started, I guess, primarily as a desire to see the world. I think everybody has felt that at some time in their lives. But for me, it was also maybe a little bit of dissatisfaction, I'll admit, to the 9-to-5 lifestyle of constantly work, sleep, repeat. So those two things combined just had me say, let's do something crazy and let's go out and actually see the world.
Okay, and were the people around you who were traveling and doing these things, did you take inspiration from anyone?
In Australia, where we're from, it's actually become quite a rite of passage, or almost like a very cultural thing for people. Normally do it in their sort of early to mid 20s. Is they'll we call it a gap year.
Yeah.
So they'll between high school and university, or after university, they'll maybe go backpacking for a year or something like that. I found myself in a position where I had to make a lot of sacrifices to take a certain job, and I figured if I'm going to make all these sacrifices, I want to make it for a very good reason.
Okay.
So I decided to take on something a bit more ambitious with my travel.
Wonderful. How about you, Dachi?
It was actually totally unplanned, like this whole trip. The idea was like, okay, I'm going to go for 2 months on a little holiday and then come back and it's all good. And then I think I got to a point, it essentially was this very similar feeling. I was pretty dissatisfied at home. I was working a lot and I liked my job, but just working way too much. So then I just said to my boss, all right, I'm quitting. So I'll see you whenever I see you.
Just one day you
Yeah,
said
I just out of the blue, I was like, I've had enough, mate. And that was it.
Okay.
So yeah, he was actually pretty cool with it. So then I just jetted off overseas. And then I did a bit of backpacking for 3 months. And then, yeah, I don't know. Then I met a guy a Hungarian guy in Morocco. And then he gave me a bike.
All right.
And then now I'm here, I guess. So yeah, that's the story. It's how it all happened.
Okay.
I mean, but you do have to prepare at times that, you know, okay, if we're going for such a long journey. And you certainly didn't do that because you went away for 2 months. So what, you have been preparing on the way while you've been on...
Oh yeah, it was like I didn't even think of actually riding a motorcycle home. That was never the plan.
Okay, so this is, because when I was looking at your website, I noticed that you kind of randomly came across this idea. Like, it was given to you and then you just ran with it.
Yeah, that's essentially what it was. Like, someone just sort of gave me the start to a script essentially, and then it was like, right, yeah, let's go and see what happens. So it was just sort of, I wanted to travel around, you know, Europe and then move out from there, like backpacking and stuff, but I wasn't enjoying it as much as I thought I would.
Okay.
And I've been riding motorcycles for like almost 10 years now. And then my friend in Morocco sort of just pitched me a little idea. He's like, well, if you want to get a motorcycle, I mean, you could ride it home.
Okay,
And then I went to London and then I had a month there to sort of plan, which I didn't actually. I took a flight to Poland and just hung out there for 2 weeks.
Okay. This sounds like a really great decision you made in life. How about you, Rowan? Because yours was different. You planned it out and you were planning, because it's been more than 1 year. It's not a gap year, it's gap years.
Gap life. For me, yeah, I mean, I planned it to an extent. I don't believe in planning so much when it comes to sort of longer term travel. Even when I took vacations back in my old job, I would normally book my flight to the destination and my flight home, maybe the first night's accommodation, maybe the last night's accommodation, and then everything in between leave up to serendipity and spontaneity.
Oh, wow.
Which for me is always what really got the blood flowing, is that feeling when you arrive in a new place, you have no idea what's happening, no idea how to work the public transport or where anything is, and that feeling of having to be on the balls of your feet and think, that's always what gave me a lot of
That is super
But you always,
amazing.
sorry, but before we move on, you always planned to ride a bike though when you traveled, or not? Or was it more like also like Dutchies?
No. So I read a magazine article one day about a gentleman who did it on a 110cc bike, and he did it with 1 month's planning. No, 1 week's planning. So for me, I figured if I had a couple of years I had to wait a couple of years to save the money required. So for me, I figured if I had the time to prepare it properly, and he could do it in a week, I could do it.
Exactly, that's what it is.
Nice, yeah.
And you know, ladies and gentlemen, we do have some visuals to share with you guys. So I mean, Mr. Producer, if you're willing to put them up, please put them up too. I mean,
Well, even while we're talking, it's fine.
that's how the feel is. But what about your families? I mean, one day you might have a girlfriend back there or a wife, which I probably do not know, because at the handlebars at the handlebars page there was nothing written of that sort that okay, whether you guys
But
committed
you have
or not.
family.
Yeah,
friends.
we have family and friends at home and stuff. Yeah.
No
How
girlfriends.
Shazada.
I mean, because this is the hard point. So what happens is that I've seen so many films from Hollywood, obviously, and whenever there's a guy who's an adventure seeker, and it's about time that he's about to leave, the girlfriend just pitches in, oh, you cannot do this to my life, or you've ruined my life, and stuff like that. Did that happen to you as well?
No, I generally like to be single most of the time because it just lets me be free, do what I want. There's no obligation to anybody. So being able to look after yourself is quite an easy kind of thing. So,
I think Bob Marley put it most clearly when he said, "No woman, no cry."
Well, that's great.
I feel outnumbered right now, so I don't know really what to say. I know how you feel now when there's always women around on the show. Okay, so now, so the families were okay with it, but it's been a very long time for you. Like, as in, do you see an end in sight to your trip or not? I think I've jumped to the end of the conversation here, but sorry.
Yeah, I mean, if money wasn't an option, I could do this for a long time. I quite enjoy the lifestyle. However, clearly bank accounts have limits. So that's, for me, this is a trip without a destination. I try and keep things as open and ready for change as possible. However, we live in a monetized society. So when that bank account hits zero, my ability to travel is going to be severely impeded.
Okay.
But let's start talking about your journeys as well.
Yes,
so you guys
exactly.
took off from Australia, right? Both of you took off from Australia?
yeah, I think we did it very differently though.
Yeah.
Okay,
we
this is
did it,
exactly what I was going to
yeah.
ask. So you started backpacking, but then how did you decide which countries you were going to go to?
Because
Tell us.
this is what is going to be very interesting for all our viewers, because you guys probably came to get in
We wonder
Pakistan.
how you came,
that's where you guys
met
came
as well.
together?
Yeah, we met in Pakistan. So
So let's start with where you started. Like, what place have
Okay.
you been and how you chose those destinations?
well, you know how I said that I was just going on like this 2-month little holiday away from
Yeah.
where we trained into like this whole trip. The first sort of month and a half was sort of planned because I knew I thought I was coming back home. So that I went through just Ireland, Spain, Portugal, over to Italy. Then I flew to the north, so I did like parts of Scandinavia, like Iceland. I was up there for Northern Lights, Norway for Northern Lights, Sweden, Denmark. And then I sort of, my Schengen visa was running out for Europe, so I was like, okay, I'll just go to Morocco and hang out there until I get my 180-day renewal and I can go back to Europe again. So then I went to Morocco, and then I was thinking, okay, I'll fly back to Europe now. And then while I was in Morocco, I met Greg from Wheels of Morocco, and he actually helped sponsor the bike for me. So I was riding around this bike in Morocco for like 2.5 months. And then I didn't really know where I was going next until he just sort of popped out that little, okay, well, you can't ride a bike home thing. So then I got to London, and then met a guy called Will, bought his bike. And then I just went to Poland for 2 weeks and had another holiday. And then I came back, and then I just sort of figured it out on the way. I didn't even plan it. Like, I was sort of had an idea of where I would go, but then everything just kept changing on the road. So I was like, I'll just go with it and see what happens. Yeah.
And you, similar? Where did you start from?
So the difference between Dutchie and I is Dutchie has started in Europe and he's riding back home to Australia. I started in Australia and I'm riding to Europe.
Okay.
So we're actually crossing paths for the first time in Pakistan. I'd never met the guy until about 3 weeks ago. We met in Islamabad.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so now let's talk about this, because this is where we want to come to, about your experiences in Pakistan and your travel so far. So, Dutchie, when we were just sitting now before the show, you told us you had a certain time limit in Pakistan. So tell us that and how it's extended.
Yeah, it was so crazy. So I sort of, I'd spoken to only like a couple of people about like Pakistan, like so, and they were like, okay, you have to go because I came through Balochistan from Iran. So I came through Balochistan and ended up in Kuwait. And my plan was pretty much from Kuwait to just go straight up the Karakoram Highway to Punjab and then come all the way back down and go to India. That was like, okay, sweet, I've seen Pakistan. And then, so I came and then, you know, I exited Kuwait, I got to Lahore, and then I met some friends of friends. I'd actually met a guy in Istanbul from Pakistan as well, and he gave me contacts of his friends. So anyway, I became friends with his friends, and then I met other people, and I had a whole bunch of friends. They're all really nice people, and I'm like, okay, cool, you know. So Pakistan's turning out to be really cool. And then I ended up heading up to the northern areas, which is a very obvious destination for any sort of overlander coming to Pakistan. Normally, it's always you go for the Karakoram Highway.
Yeah.
And I headed up there, and I actually met another Aussie guy who was at the same hostel as me in Lahore, and I ended up sort of giving him the idea that he could rent a bike and we'd go up together. So, you know, he rented a bike, we went up together. And we spent like 2 weeks just up and down the Karakoram Highway. And then I came back and I liked it so much, I was like, okay, I'll just stay for longer. So I went and extended my visa. And then Rowan came, and then I went up with Rowan as well. And I think we only met because of a mutual friend of ours, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so now how long have you been in Pakistan? How long has your trip?
So from 2 weeks, it's now been 4 months now, just over
4
4
months.
months. Yeah.
And I've seen your videos on different social media pages as well, where you went to Peshawar and you were hugging these guys, and you know you've got this picture, and you're saying that, you know, okay, I'm having a good time over here. But other than that, there's one more thing which I want to ask.
You're
and
famous.
that even if you have been on a vacation for 1.5 years, don't you feel like taking another vacation now? That all right, that has been very tiring.
I think you sort of have points in your trip where you sort of like, you've done all this like really cool, exciting stuff, and then you sort of just want a bit of a break. So you just sort of don't really do much for like 2 weeks. You just sort of kick back and relax and chill.
So that's Islamabad for you.
Islamabad is like my chill city. Like it's where I come back to. Like I know a lot of people here now as well. I have a lot of nice friends here, and it's a very easy place just to relax.
It's like
easy
one
to
of
get
a
around
mobile
and-
station.
Yeah.
What about somebody who's been out for 3 years? I mean,
So tell us about
it's
the
no more a
places-
vacation now, is it?
Yeah, I never saw this trip as a vacation.
All right.
Okay.
This was a way for me to, the analogy I like to give is to take the snow globe that is my life and just shake it up and then just see where the bits settle. So I intentionally left as few open ends back home as possible. So I didn't want to have anything really forcing me to come back. The idea was that I could get to any fork in the road and then I could choose left or right based on my feeling for the day.
While I was going through your profile, there was one more thing which I think was very interesting, and that is that, you know, you don't want your life to be that normal, structured way, the way we think it is. And then you wrote that, you know, okay, for example, if anywhere you can find, you know, kids, probably if you can teach them English, I mean, you would pick up that job too as well.
Yeah.
How has been your experience so far in those terms as well? Because you very correctly said that, you know, our society is monetary based, and that's how we decide things.
Right. For me, I really wanted to give myself every chance to just get involved in a lot of any project or volunteer opportunity or work opportunity that came my way. I actually took that. I lived in Thailand for 1 year. So I've been outside of Australia for 3 years, but I lived in Thailand for 1
It's
year.
a good place to live, though.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
Where exactly in Thailand?
I lived in Chiang Mai, which
All
is
right.
sort of like the cultural hub of Thailand. It's an ancient city in the north. And I worked as a teacher,
Wow.
as a school teacher. And I have a chemistry degree, and I taught chemistry in this high school, which for me was a really great experience. I got to learn how to teach for a start, and also to relearn my chemistry, which has got a little bit dusty in the intervening years.
Okay, so now let's move your way down to Pakistan, because I want to talk about your experience in Pakistan so far as well. So after you lived there, then you started traveling. So the different countries, what were your experiences of those, and what's Pakistan been like for you so far?
Yeah, so between Australia and Pakistan, you get a really broad spectrum of different cultures, religions, societies. So I had a great experience going through, say, Indonesia, where it's an Islamic country, but every single island has a different culture. And there's so many different ways to experience a country like that. and then through the rest of Southeast Asia. Yeah, I had such a fantastic time. In through India, and then and Nepal, of course, and then into Pakistan. I must say I really enjoyed arriving in Pakistan because out of all these places that I've been, Pakistan is without a doubt #1 in terms of hospitality. People see you on the street, they shake your hand, they invite you for a cup of tea.
They even hug you at times.
They will hug you at times.
It's super friendly, super friendly.
Yeah.
I found my experience in India was that sometimes I felt a little bit overwhelmed by the attention, and there would be big crowds and people very much in your personal space. But the thing I love about Pakistan is people are still very respectful. So they're very curious and they want to come and wish you well and say hello, find out what you're doing, who you are. But at the same time, they're very mindful that they don't overwhelm you, and they'll normally say hi and then...
Exactly. But what about, you know, food? Because food is one of those things which I love the most. Well, that's what you can tell actually when you look at me as well. Yeah. But other than that, you know... I
didn't want to say anything.
It's perfectly all right. Even if you don't say it, your expressions tell me that but it's perfectly all right. Because most of the times when Pakistanis, when we travel, because we travel the other way, we travel the traditional way. We'll book a flight, go somewhere, stay there for 15 days, have some burgers, have some, you know, whatever fast food and come back home. But for somebody who's living for so long and he or she knows that, you know, we're not going back home, mom's not cooking food for us, we have to do it ourselves. How did you manage that? And let's talk about Pakistani cuisines, because we tend to add so many spices over here. Yeah. At times you do feel like, oh man, what have I eaten?
Yeah.
So we'll start with you, Dutchie.
You just get into it. You have to just get into it. Like you can't be like.
There's no other option.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to sort of remember where you are. So it's just sort of, you know, you go, then you have a go. It actually took me about like sort of 2 to 3 weeks adjusting to the spices and stuff. I'm like, oh man, every time I'd be like, oh, is there chili in it? Is there chili in it? Is there spices in it? I'd be like, oh, not spicy. And I'm like, all right, so you have some, but it's still heaps spicy because you're not used to the spices and stuff. But once I got past like because you have such an amazing mix of spices in your foods. Like it's immensely spicy, and once you get into that and you start eating it, it just feels very normal. So I don't know. I'm loving the food now. Like I could definitely I could name a list of stuff that I could eat right now. But
okay, you know, no, don't, because I'm hungry.
I haven't eaten breakfast yet, so I don't want to get too hungry.
So
but
let's talk about. Let's delve a bit into the regions that you guys have visited, because, like you said, you know, Balochistan, then Hunza, and then Islamabad. They're extremely different.
Yeah,
every region has its own specialty for their foods as well. So what has stuck out for you since you spent 4 months here, but what is, apart from the hospitality, what is the stuff that's sticking out for you that you would say to people who maybe don't have an idea of Pakistan? What would you advise someone who was maybe thinking of visiting?
The mountains.
Yeah.
Pakistan has the most incredible mountains in the world. It took my breath away.
Did you expect that though before you came? Were you aware of the scenic beauty of Pakistan?
I expected the concept, but then the reality hit when you go there to these areas in the Upper Hunza Valley, Pasu and all these places, Kunjarab.
Yeah, we have all the pictures running in the background while we're talking, so everyone can
Exactly.
see.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, you can't imagine. Like, I don't think you can actually. People can tell you how amazing like these areas are, and you can see pictures of them. But even the pictures don't really speak that much in terms of how the country looks. Like they're just. It's so like it's like walking into like a fairy tale book. Because like one of the best artists in the world, except he's better than the best artist.
Because no matter what happens, any photographer, whoever takes a picture, he cannot capture that real depth of, when you see those mountains at that distance and then that sky, which is just above your head. But ladies and gentlemen, with all of these beautiful places to go and all of this amazing food to eat, there are some horrible experiences when you're traveling for 1.5 years or probably 3 years. And
we want the reality check.
Yeah. I think that's what we wanted to discuss. But right now we need to go for a short break. When you guys will come back, that's what we are talking. All of their horrible experiences.
Awesome.
Let's take a
so
break.
much for positivity.
Yeah.
largest cultural activity in Pakistan is the annual National Folk Festival, Lok Mela, held in Islamabad in October each year. Over the past 2 decades, this festival has taken on an international flavour, and more than 20 different countries have sent their artisans and performers to participate in the festival. Nationally, the festival has become a thing of pride for artisans and performers who come on their own to participate. Most important of all, the provinces of Pakistan and Azad Jammu and Kashmir put up beautifully decorated pavilions, and visitors had the unique opportunity to see an assortment of Pakistan's traditionally rich culture in the federal capital of Islamabad for an exciting 10 days. An exhibition of artisans at work under the banner of the Heritage Museum forms the core of this festival. Pavilions of each province depict their own regional culture and crafts. The Research and Media Centre of Lok Virsa arranges groups of dancers that perform all over the festival grounds, inviting visitors to join in, and in the evening arranges music concerts from all parts of Pakistan. This festival is a true depiction of the diversity found in Pakistani culture. Fairs and Festivals of Pakistan.
Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we're in discussion with our guests about their travels around the world, and especially now we're focusing on Pakistan. But Shahzad now would like to take the conversation, as always, in another turn. So now he would like to ask about their interesting experiences. They're obviously positive because they're sitting here with us, so they made it through it. So, we'll start.
And we're glad that you guys made it as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
No,
Still here in one piece.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with you, Rowan.
Interesting experiences.
Yeah. Or Dachi. I feel like I'm putting pressure on you when I ask this.
Yeah. No, that's fine. For me, the things which I find the most trialing are the logistical experiences. Visas, borders, documents. Unfortunately, to do this kind of travel that we do, you can't just decide one day and then leave the next. You have to do a lot of paperwork and stuff like that. And for me, all the stuff where I've really wondered, is it all worth it, has never been due to trouble found on the road. It's always been due to this agency and this company forcing me to do this paperwork or to do this or to fly to another country to get a document or something like that. So that's all the most difficult stuff for me, not the most exciting.
So was it worth it, or?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You fool yourself into thinking that things are more dramatic than they are. When
Because
you have to do it,
because that's something which I've experienced prior to this show as well, and that is
Which
that prior to the show we're doing right now, because they're here, I met them for the very first time. So there were these other guys who were traveling, and they were. Do you remember those rickshaw guys? They were on a.
Oh, the tuk-tuk. Tuk-tuk travelers.
So they were on a tuk-tuk, and then they weren't getting a visa to go to I don't know which country it was. So then we kind of had to help them as well. They were here for 2 weeks. They planned for 2 days, and then their logistic cost was going up too as well. So this
They
is
had
quite.
no room for error. on
Sounds
that.
very familiar.
So this is quite a trouble.
How about you, Dachi?
I don't know. I seem to have this amazing skill of just crashing in all the wrong places at all the wrong times, and it's happened on more than one occasion. I think generally people learn from making mistakes, but I don't seem to have the ability to do that. Anyway, one time I was out. I don't know where I was. I was somewhere in the middle of Iran desert, and I was just going through some sort of pretty choppy gravel. And as we both know, my throttle control isn't the best, and I just hit it too hard, and then ended up just sliding on the bike down this, like, through this desert. And I broke a few things, and I was like looking at it going, right, I hope the bike starts. So, you know, you get around, you just patch everything up, and then you sort of duct tape it together or whatever. And then you go. But that wasn't even the worst part, actually. I remember when I was on the way to Tehran, in another part of, like, the desert, and I actually ended up destroying the bike. Like, it was still rideable, but barely. And everything was held together with duct tape. Like, absolutely it looked like some kind of, I was like a Christmas present, but wrapped in black tape. And I limped all the way to Tehran, and then as I got about 4 kilometers from my friend's place in Tehran, my clutch melted. And so I was stuck on this really steep hill with all these cars beeping at me, and I was like, man, I can't get off the bike, it's too steep. And I was like, oh, it was horrible, but you know, I mean, it's sort of part of the experience, I guess.
That
At
sounds
the time,
awful.
Oh,
I feel stressed with that story.
This is the thinking on your feet thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is where you sort of have to straight away
Yeah.
be like, right, I've got to get out of the situation, what do I do? And then you just work
Okay.
it out and you keep going. So
Okay, now based on experiences and just going on the lines of Shazad's area of discussion, you said that, you know, saving costs and stuff like that. So you must have, you know, like you said, people have been welcoming you to stay with them and couch
couch
surfing.
surfing, yeah.
Have you had any interesting experiences during that? Because you've gone to so many different like countries. And have you done it in a lot of them, or just?
Yeah, couch surfing is...
What was your opinion about that? Like, if anyone's thinking, you know, any youngsters.
Oh, it's
out there-
fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
I
good thing.
couldn't recommend it highly enough because for those who don't know, Couchsurfing is this website where you make a profile, and then if you're traveling, you can browse other people's profiles in a certain city, and they might have a free couch that they'll advertise on this thing, and you can come and sleep on their couch for a few days, which A, is fantastic because it will save you costs, but B, the thing that I really get out of it is you're not turning up to a new city, staying in a hotel by yourself, you're turning up to a new city, and then straight away you're with a local. And normally, 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, okay, what are you doing tonight? Let's go. There's a fantastic restaurant, or my friends are having a barbecue, or I can take you to, you know, this monument or this mosque or whatever. And you really get to see the locals' experience of a city.
Exactly.
It's a very good cultural exchange. I think
Yeah.
you can go there and you know, you automatically start learning about their culture because, you know, you're in their local zones. They'll take you to all the local places. You're not doing the touristy stuff per se.
Yeah.
And then also, like, they get exposure to, you know, your culture because you're from another part of the world. So the cultural exchange is actually really, really cool.
Exactly,
Really
and
positive,
you
yeah.
know, other than that, I think I can think of, because when I visited US, so I think the application I used was Airbnb as well. And with that application, you can obviously find hotels and whatnot, but you can find a room for $10 as well.
Yeah.
So you can probably sleep on anybody else's couch. It's just that, you know, you just have to be, I mean, the only thing which gets you worried is that you know who the next person is going to be.
Right,
That's
right.
what it is.
Yeah. But you become accustomed to that, though, I think. Like,
But I think if you're in those environments and those societies where they kind of have that traveling culture and people using that, I think over here it's very still underground. I know Pakistanis that do that, but it's not, you know.
As prevalent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But other than that, you know, since you've been over here in Pakistan as well, we've talked about hospitality. And, you know, just because you were saying that your clutch melted and there were people honking as well, and you were like, what to do?
Yeah.
So out of all of these countries you have traveled, where do you think that people are the most patient?
Patient.
Most
Yeah.
patient. Most patient.
It's a good question.
That's an interesting question. Most patient people, man.
There isn't any,
I
right?
found if we're talking specifically about on the road,
Yeah.
I got to say the Malaysians
Okay.
are lovely on the road. They're very well mannered and they obey the rules, which is fantastic because all throughout the rest of Southeast Asia, it's any man's game.
Yeah, exactly. What about you?
The most patient, I don't know, if we're talking like road-wise,
Any, I mean, it's not just the
Oh, just
road.
any-
I mean,
in
the way they
generally
see you,
speaking,
you
I
know,
mean,
when you meet them.
I think I found the best stretch for patient and even very helpful people was essentially between like the east of Turkey, Iran and Pakistan. Like this whole sort of leg, like everyone is patient and very helpful in terms of the fact that if you need something, they're like just bend over backwards to help you get done whatever you need. You know what I mean? That's what I love about this section of the trip.
Right. Okay. You know, yesterday when I was going through your stuff, I had so many questions. And
No,
I've done so much reading. I feel like I've got the answers. I
but
forget our viewers have it.
But I think there's one more thing which I need to ask, and
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, and that is that, you know, since we've talked about Pakistan, we've talked about other countries as well. What are your plans ahead as well, and for all those people who are following you on internet and social media? Let's get started with you.
Well, I'm going to keep writing, obviously, until the.
So what plans do you have? Which countries?
How much longer is your
next?
Pakistan
Yeah.
trip?
So Pakistan, I'm going to be here. Probably till towards the end of June, but I'm contemplating maybe extending again.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see what happens with that. There's a couple of things that I'm waiting on, but yeah. So probably till the end of June it looks like. Then I'll move on to India, Nepal. And then I've got one of my best friend's weddings in September, so I do have to fly home for that.
Okay.
So yeah, that'll be really awesome to see everybody again. I'll probably stop there for like a month or two and just get some work under my belt quickly.
Yeah.
And then I'll head back to Nepal and then ride my way through Southeast Asia, and then essentially sort of take a very similar route to what Rowan did on the way here. And
No kind of time frame or structure.
not really, but
I
think I'll probably end up home around like January, February, somewhere around there next year. And yeah.
Amazing.
How about you?
For me, I'm unfortunately going to be leaving Pakistan within sort of a week or 2 weeks. I'm currently experiencing one of those logistical nightmares that we were talking about now. I have a ruined back tire that I'm trying to get a replacement for. So as soon as I get that, I can leave. I'll be going through Iran, Turkey, Armenia and Georgia, and then into Europe. My goal is to be finished roughly around the end of August. I'll be doing a quick tour through Europe, and then when that bank account sort of runs out, that's when I'll be going on to Plan B.
Okay, excellent. Okay, and now, because, you know, now we are running short of time, but for all those people who are interested in writing and stuff, what has been your favorite country or region or...
But just good tips.
For writing.
For writing, hands down, I'd say Pakistan, man. Like, there's so much that you can, if you want to go writing, there's so much there. Like,
and any favorite within Pakistan?
I'm biased because I've spent most of my time here in the northern areas.
Okay,
so
northern areas.
automatically I'd say northern areas, yeah.
How about you, Rowan?
In terms of tips...
no, as in what's your favorite place to ride? Like, out
favorite
of the whole
place to ride? Yeah, it's going to sound boring, but yeah, Hunza in the northern areas were really good. I also really enjoyed Nepal. Is such a fantastically beautiful country. And also Burma. Burma is so beautiful.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Burma. That's going to be cool.
And I think it is very hard to get into Burma as well. Or isn't
yes.
it?
Yeah, it's a mission.
It's another nightmare.
Yeah.
But other than that, you know, had there been a time that, you know, you obviously wanted some more finances on your hand as well, and you want to do something more, or sponsorships? So what are the other ways or mediums through which you can probably get your journey to be, or your dream to be fulfilled?
I'm interested to know the
because
answer to this as well.
I've been looking into that a little bit actually, and I've got something in the works that's actually Pakistan based, which I can't really say too much about at the moment. But essentially, like, where I have a sort of like media team here as well, and so we're trying to get a sponsorship to actually do the filming that we want to do in Pakistan.
Great.
It's a little bit difficult to find that, I think, because people obviously don't want to shell out their money for no reason, and we have to show them that we have actually something, we've done some work. So we're actually working on that. And if we get the funding, then we can actually do something pretty amazing that we really want to do, but it's just trying to seek the funding initially.
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because we are really running short of time, but anything for, you know, anyone, because we have viewers abroad as well. So for all those foreigners that maybe that have the media portrays it in a certain way, what would you say to everyone who has a bit of reluctance or fear of this region?
Oh, just come. Simply, that's it. Just come over. Like, you'll have, if you have a bad time here, for any reason, there's got to be something wrong with you. Like,
really?
You can't not. You have to have a good time here. Like, you're sort of guaranteed that when you come here.
And then there's one small recommendation
wait,
as
Rowan,
well.
what about you?
I was just going to say that hospitality just seems to be such a core aspect of the culture here that it would be very difficult to come here and not feel safe and welcomed and like you're almost home. I felt that from the moment I crossed the border. I've felt 100% welcome. Yeah.
Amazing that is. But one small recommendation of that is that, if you guys can stay for a longer period of time, it's going to Ramadan, I think, in almost 30 or 32, 3 days. And after that, we do have Eid, which is our cultural festival and our
that'd
religious
be awesome
festival
to
as
hang
well.
around for.
Make
And
a
people wear
boomerang.
shalwar kameez and they share, exchange money with kids. Well, not exchange, they just give money to the kids and they can buy sweets and whatnot.
And you still get it, don't you? Because you're still a little kid.
I don't. I'm all grown up now. Come
Oh,
on, stop
okay.
saying that. So I mean, that's going to be very interesting, and you can experience that over here.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And
it's
you can
great
be our
stuff.
guest
Yeah,
because
sounds
we,
good.
we do make kheer. It's a sweet dish, and it's really yummy. Kind of
I'm
feeling
a big
you
fan of
right
food.
now.
I can eat
What is your
every day,
favorite
all
dish,
day.
by the way, just out of curiosity?
There's
say biryani.
malai boti is pretty good.
Malai boti.
Yeah, malai
How
boti is
about
really
you?
good. Yeah.
I love a mutton karai.
Mutton
Okay.
karai.
Mutton
White
karai as well.
karai.
Yeah, white
Okay.
karai is pretty boss
Yeah.
as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck with the rest of your travels as
Thanks
well.
very much for
Thanks
having
If
us
you're
on.
ever here
Yeah.
again in the neighborhood, you're more than welcome to our show to fill us up with what you've been doing. Fill us in.
That's what it is. But thank you very much for coming over, and be safe.
Okay.
Safe travels. That's what it is. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, the core reason why they were here was of the fact that they can inspire other million people who are out there and who want to do something in their lives, but they think that they might not have a chance. It's not about having a chance, it's about creating one.
Absolutely. And so with that, we're going to move on to our fruit of the day. So today it's falsa.
Yeah.
What's a falsa in English?
Well,
Were
I
we
mean,
ever told by our producers?
Well, we do not really know what falsa is in English, but other than that,
But it is, look, if you go anywhere in Pakistan,
yeah, but the spelling looks like palsa as well.
okay, well, it's PH, Shazad. Anyway, guys, so the health benefits of falsa are that for this weather, they're really good because they're very rehydrating.
And the raw fruit relieves inflammations, fevers, and blood disorders. It purifies blood as
And
well.
if you are suffering from asthma, bronchitis, and colds, and a sore throat, it does seem to hurt your throat a bit, but, it's good for you.
Other than that, it protects from sunstroke, cures anemia, and the bark of the root is used to treat rheumatism. Rheumatism, yeah.
And so, sorry. Yeah, so with that, it's a really good summer fruit. So with that, log on to our Facebook fan page,
It is with the name of Well This Morning.
our Twitter page,
Well This Morning without a G.
YouTube and Daily Motion page.
Well This Morning, Well This Morning.
And the repeat is that.
11 p.m.
Have a wonderful day, and we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
Look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Doing some weight management.
Then they're good for protection against diabetes and hypertension and improved digestion.
And it's got it's a really good source for vitamins, minerals, fats, and proteins.
And all of this is what is found in pistachio are all very good for your health.
Exactly. So, and it also reduces the risk of heart attack and heart disease. So, with that, you log on to our Facebook fan page.
Yeah, let them come back because
Okay.
they're still taking a glance at the pistachios and
Pistachios.
how they are actually grown. So thank you
Okay.
very much.
So, with that, log on to our Facebook fan page,
It is with the name of Well This Morning.
our Twitter page,
Well This Morning, it's without a G, all right?
and the YouTube and Daily Motion
YouTube,
page.
it's Well This Morning, and Daily Motion, it's Well This Morning.
And the repeat is at.
11 p.m.
Have a wonderful day. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow.
Till the next time, 1, 2, 3,
Good
good
morning.
morning. Thank you.
power project would generate 1,320 megawatts. And it is one of the major projects in China-Pakistan Economic Corridor energy portfolio. The government of Pakistan has been very anxious that these projects should come into production by 2017-2018, and so that the country can get rid of the energy crisis that it is facing since last many years. I'm sure the way this company is working on the site, that the timelines of 2018 would not be very unreasonable to expect.
The Geological Survey of Pakistan reveals that 175 billion ton of coal is buried under the Thar Desert.